This is the briefing for Thursday, February 24th. If you remember from last night's briefing, I said that the indices basically needed a gap down and they needed to puke out all of the sellers and just exhaust the selling so that we could have some sort of a decent rally. Well, but we got that in today's trading. As you can see, we did gap down, but then the selling did not run. It didn't just keep going. And we had a pretty good retracement up off of the 410 area in the spiders, as you can see. The problem with that is it doesn't really satisfy what I was looking for, and I don't. Market always doesn't give me what I'm looking for. But if you see here, you can see here, this was the January 24th low, and you can't see it on a daily chart. But if you look at a shorter term chart, there was a gap, and then there was a run, and it ran all the way down to 420, and then buyers started to come in. Sellers exhausted themselves here and started to come in, and buyers came in and started driving it back up. That led to this rally. In this case, what happened was we didn't have a gap and run. We had a gap, and then immediately buyers started coming in and driving price back up again. Now we are right at this 428 level, 428 to 430, which is resistance. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in tomorrow's trading to see if there's going to be follow through or not. So this rally that we saw today was certainly it was supported by volume, but some of the internals are really just not confirming what we saw here. I mean, look at the new highs minus new lows, negative 2122, pretty close to what we saw in the on the January 24th low. So I'm a little skeptical of this rally, although from a price development perspective, it was certainly nice to see. But I'm going to wait and see what happens in tomorrow's trading before I make any decisions on whether this low is in and we are headed back up to potentially test this 450 to 460 level in the spiders. In the Qs, you can see the Qs had already traded through this this January 24th low in yesterday's trading. And you can see here the same thing happened here. We got a gap, but then immediately buyers came in and started driving price back up. Now we have reached this 340 level in the Qs, so that is the next level of resistance. Above that is 350. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in tomorrow's trading in terms of whether we see follow through in this rally that we saw off of today's low. And then the Russell testing this 190 level. Really, this was a really important level for the Russell, bouncing right off of it, and of course not reaching quite the 205. 205 up to about 210 is the next level of resistance for the Russell. Now, if we look at where we are in terms of what was happening with the internals, you can see that this rally, this is a 120-minute chart of the spiders, this rally was pretty significant in terms of price development. Volume falling off though as it rallied into the day. The daily chart shows a spike in volume, but if we break that down into a shorter term time period like 120 minutes, you can see that as it rallied and traded through this 425 level, volume was falling off, and breadth was only 431 shares positive. So it's going to be interesting to see if this rally can hold in tomorrow's trading. Same thing occurred on the NASDAQ. You can see the large volume on the gap, and then of course volume falling off pretty dramatically as it rallied, testing this 340 level. A little bit better market breadth in the NASDAQ, but still not anything significant that would have reversed this move that we saw in today's trading. So the internals basically today have not confirmed the rally, but that doesn't mean that they won't confirm it in tomorrow's trading either. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I talk about all the time about watching for a lower low and a divergence in breadth for some type of rotation back up. We really didn't get that in today's trading, but I'm going to be watching for that tomorrow. If we do get a higher high and breadth is weaker than what it is in today's trading, look for the potential for them to try and false breakout to draw in buyers, additional buyers, and drive the market higher. If breadth isn't following, then you're going to see a rotation back through this range. keep in mind this the 340 level is a pretty important level in the NASDAQ. And in the Russell, basically the same situation. High volume on the open at the gap, and then of course volume falling off as it rotated back up again. One of the interesting things is that we reached a point of being oversold, not extremely so in the NYSE and really not extremely so in the NASDAQ. You can see we got deeper extremes in previous time periods, but we did work off a lot of that oversold condition, so it's going to be interesting to see what does happen in tomorrow's trading. It does not preclude the indices from going higher. Certainly this suggests that we will see higher prices in tomorrow's trading. What's going to be important is what happens with the internals. Are the internals going to now begin to strengthen to support what we saw off of that rally? And then of course the risk is there's going to be some bad news overnight as we had last night, and the market is going to sell off once again. A lot of volatility right now, but there's a lot of events that are happening. We have interest rate potential increases in the next coming weeks. And then, of course, the events that are geopolitical events that are occurring in the Ukraine. So it's going to be interesting to see how we do finish this week. Watch the resistance levels I just outlined. And then, of course, if they are traded through and they don't hold, then we're looking at another rotation back down to potentially to test today's low. Have a great night.